Hello, welcome to Ravi Shankar Botany tutorial online NEET classes. Today I am going to talk about one more important topic, that is stem and its modification. Right? Stem. Stem is stem is which is ascending ascending axis of plant which is developed from plumule of embryo plumule of embryo. This bears branches, leaves, flowers, fruits, etc. This is differentiated into nodes and internodes. Nodes and internodes. See, when you look at the plant is mainly two, based on the appearance, we can see two portions. The part of the plant which is not seen by us, that will be present under the ground will be called root system. The part of the plant which is erected and present in the air condition will be called a shoot system. See, suppose this is the plant, the part of the plant which is down the ground, which is called root system. This is the root system. The part of the plant which is above the ground will be called a shoot system. Right. Now this shoot system, there is a leaf or branches are present. Right. So there is a main axis which is called stem. There is a main axis which is called stem. The portion of the stem where the leaf is raised is called node. And the portion of the stem between the two adjacent nodes will be called internode. So that means the stem bears nodes and internodes. But these nodes and internodes, morphologically, they are absent in a root system. Suppose if you take out the entire plant, so we can differentiate that either it is root system or shoot system based on the presence or absence of nodes and internodes. If the nodes and internodes are present over the part of the plant, will be considered as a shoot system. The part where the nodes and internodes are not present in a root in a part of the plant which is called a root system. Morphologically we can identify easily. This is the nodes and the internodes. Right. Next, see, when you look at the plant, there is a leaves and branches are developed from this part. The origin of leaves and branches will be exogenous in origin. The branches and the leaves are developed from the surface of the stem. Therefore, that development, that origin will be called as exogenous in origin. Why? Because exogenous means they are developed from the superficial parts of the plant. That means a stem, right? That's why they are exogenous in origin. Suppose here we have a roots, and rootlets also present in the root part of the plant. The roots or rootlets are developed from the endogenous in origin. Endogenous means they are developed from the pericycle of the root. That's why that origin will be called as a endogenous. But the leaves and branches of the stem will be developed from the superficial portion. So therefore, that origin will be, the development will be called a exogenous in origin. Exogenous in origin. So, and then when you talk about, when you look at the stem, when the stem will be in a younger stage, younger condition or younger stage, the stem will be look green in color. Green in color. And when it is becoming old, when the stem will become old, now what is happening? This will be becoming into dark brown. This would be becoming into dark brown and woody in nature. Woody in nature. So that means when the stem will be in a young stage, it is green in color, fleshy and green in color, and when it is become old, that becoming dark brown and woody in nature. So now next, when talking about the functions which perform by the stem, what are the functions which perform by the stem? See, when you look at the functions which are carried out by the stem, the first function is this stem will be involved in conduction of water, mineral salts from the root to all parts of the plant. At the same time, conduction of photosynthate from leaves to all other parts via stem. So that's why it is considered as a conduction of, it is called as a conduction of water, mineral, salts and also photosynthate. This is the one of the important photosynthate. This is one of the important function which is carried out by the stem. The next function is this stem bears branches, leaves, flowers, fruits, etc. Stem bears branches, leaves, flowers, fruits, etc. So this is the second function which is carried out by this stem. And the next one is this stem will provide mechanical support, storage of food, and helps for vegetative propagation. So this stem will provide mechanical support, storage of food, and helps for vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation means the part of the plant which involve in development of or generation of new species. That activity will be called vegetative propagation. These are the functions which are carried out by the stem. Conduction of water, mineral salts, photosynthate, branches, leaves and flowers, fruits are bare by the stem, which provide mechanical support, storage of food and vegetative propagation, which helps for vegetative propagation, that means for the development of new generations. So these are the important functions that are carried out by the stem, right? So stem is ascending axis of plant, main axis of plant, the which is developed from the plumule of embryo, which bears branches, leaves, flowers, fruits, etc. This also has nodes and internodes. This is the morphological identification characteristic feature for stem compatible with the root, because in root this nodes and internodes are absent. If the nodes and internodes are present, then that is called stem or shoot. Like that we can identify it. The next one is, so this stem will develop branches, leaves in an exogenous origin, and when it is in a younger stage, green in color, when it is in old, dark brown and woody in nature. This is about a stem. Next, we are talking about modification of stem. That means stem modification. When you look at the stem modification, next stem modification. Stem modification. Stem modification, before talk about stem modification types and stem modification types. Now, let us know the definition of modification. Let us know the definition of modification. Modification. What is modification? Modification means morphologically or morphological, physiological changes which brought out to suit to surrounding conditions. Such changes are called modification. Such change are called modifications. Morphological, physiological changes which brought out to suit to the surrounding conditions will be called modification. Now, based on this stem modification, we have different types. There are different plant organs will be modified themselves according to the surrounding situations or surrounding conditions. Will be called as modification. Now, one of the important organ of a plant, which is called stem is going to modify itself, right? So, what are the modification of stem? Let us know. Stem, those are called stem modification. Stem modification. Stem modification are, we have three types. One is underground stem modification, SM shortly. The next one will be aerial stem modification. Next, third one will be subaerial stem modification. So these are the three categories of stem modification. Now, when you're talking about the first category, which is called underground stem modification. So the underground stem would be look non-green, which is non-green structure present underground. It is underground part of the stem, which is underground part of the stem. So this part, underground part of the stem, which store food materials, which store food materials and help for vegetative propagation. These are the characteristic feature of underground stem modification. First one, it is non-green, non-chlorophyllous. Non-green means non-chlorophyllous structure. Non-chlorophyllous structure, and which is not a photosynthetic part, right? But it is underground part and store food materials and helps for vegetative propagation. These are the characteristic feature of underground stem modification structures. Now there are some underground stems which are modified themselves, like rhizome and rhizome, corm, stem tuber, and bulbs. These are the some underground modified stems. So rhizome example, ginger, and turmeric, ginger, turmeric, gingibus officinalis, turmeric, curcuma sativa, and corm example, jamaican, that means amorphophallus one. The next one will be colocasia, or the example for corm. Corm is a stem modified structure which helps for storage of food materials. And a stem tuber, potato. Now rhizome, on the rhizome, like a ginger, if you take, on the ginger there are scaly leaves are present, and there are buds also present. Those buds are called axillary buds. These axillary buds are vegetative propagates for these plants, right? And corm also having axillary buds. Those axillary buds are vegetative propagates for its propagation. And stem tuber, there is a eyes of potato. We have call it as, this is the potato. On this there are eyes are present. These are called eyes of potato. These eyes of potato are considered as a vegetative propagate. These eyes will be removed from the stem tuber and placed in the soil and developing into new individual organism or plants. Right. That means these eyes of potato helps for vegetative propagation. Right. And then here one more important thing we need to discuss. We need to remember, stem tuber is a modified stem part, but sweet potato is there. Stem tuber is a potato example, but sweet potato is there. Sweet potato is a root modified structure. Potato is a stem modified structure. Sweet potato is the root modified structure. Don't get confusion here. Right. And the bulbs example, onion, onion, and ginger, sorry, garlic, onion and garlic. So these are the bulbs. So what is bulb? Let us look at here. Bulb is, there is a discoid, short discoid stem which doesn't store food materials. That will be called, this is the modified stem or modified stem structure, which is a short discoid. Discoid means it is a disc shaped structure, and at the base of this there are roots, means adventitious roots are present, and above this there is apical bud and axillary buds are present. This is called apical bud. This is called apical bud, and the lower one will be axillary bud. Axillary bud. Apical bud and axillary bud are present. Now this apical bud and axillary bud, or what are this? These are the structures for propagation of the onion or garlic and all. And these are surrounded by a fleshy leaf-like structures which store food. These are called scales. Scales. They are fleshy leaf-like structures which store food materials. And above this, there is a dry membranous structure which covers these scales. Will be called as tunics. Tunics. And on the top of this region, then all these structures, dry structures, will be accumulated together and form a tail-like structure which is called a scape. Scape. So here we can see in onion there is two types of modifications will be seen here. One is stem modification, the other one will be leaf modification. Leaf modification. So that is about the bulbs. So these are the, what are this? Underground stem modification structures. Is it clear? Next, when you're talking about the other stem modifications. What are the other stem modifications? Look at here. The other stem modifications are, that is the first, underground stem is the first stem modification. Second one is aerial stem modification. Aerial stem modification. The aerial stem modifications, we have different types again. What are those? The first one is stem tendril. Stem tendril. The second one is thorns. Thorns. Third one is phylloclades. Phylloclades. And fourth one is cladophylls. Cladophylls. Fifth one is bulbils. Bulbils. So these are the different aerial stem modifications we can see. So one is stem tendril. This is, it is a slender, means a thin, spirally coiled structure. Spirally coiled structure. Spirally coiled structure. Right. Spirally coiled structure which helps for climbing the weak stem plants like gourds, like cucumber, pumpkin, watermelon, and grapevine. The gods like these are the weak stem plants. In these weak stem plants, there is a slender, spirally coiled structure which helps for climbing up these weak stem plants to these any support. Or these spirally structures will be developed from axillary buds. Axillary buds. Axillary buds. In sometimes a terminal bud also will be developed. Terminal bud also will be developing into a slender, thin, spirally coiled structure, right? And which helps for climbing. Those structures are called stem tendrils. These are the stem modification structure. One of the stem modification aerial structure. Next, when you're talking about thorns, when you're talking about thorns are thorns. These are short, thick, pointed, woody structure. Which helps for protection from overgrazing animals. Overgrazing animals like cows, buffalo, sheep, goat, etc. From these overgrazing animals, these thorns will provide protection. Especially example in bougainvillea and citrus, there is a axillary buds are present, right? Suppose this is the leaf of this plant. There is an axillary bud is present, right? This axillary bud is transformed or modified itself into thorns, short, thick, pointed, woody structures. So these are called axillary bud is modified into thorns. That will be seen in bougainvillea and citrus. So these are thorns. These are about thorns, right? Next, thorns are short, thick, pointed, woody structures, provide protection from overgrazing animals. Those structures will be called thorns. The thorns are developed, especially in the bougainvillea and the citrus, they are developed from axillary buds. So these axillary buds are modified into thorns. Right, that's about the thorns. The next one is phylloclades. This is phylloclades. So what is this phylloclades? Phylloclade is green stem will be grow unlimitedly, carry out photosynthesis. That green unlimited stem which perform photosynthesis will be called phylloclade. See, this phylloclade, especially the shape of the phylloclade will be in opuntia. Flattened phylloclade is seen in opuntia, and a cylindrical phylloclade will be seen in euphorbia, and needle-like phylloclade will be seen in casuarina. These are the example for phylloclades. What are phylloclades? Phylloclades are green stem, grow unlimitedly, carry out photosynthesis. Those structures are called phylloclades. and in Opensia there is a flattened phylloclade will be there, and in Euphorbia there is a cylindrical phylloclade will be there. Casuarina needle-like phylloclade will be there. In Opensia, if you look at the Opensia, so this is the Opensia plant, and there is a like pointed structures are present. These pointed structures are called as spines. Spines or scales. Spines are scales. That means the leaves which are present on these plants will be modified into spines and or scales to prevent a loss of water by a process of transpiration. By a process of transpiration. Such modifications will be seen in stem, that is phylloclades. That's about a phylloclade, right? The next one we are talking about the cladophylls. There is a slight difference between a phylloclade and a cladophylls. Let us look at the difference. What is the difference between these two? See, phylloclade is a green stem, grow unlimitedly. But cladophyll is cladophylls. This one is, it is a branch, grow limitedly, carry out photosynthesis. That structure will be called cladophylls. So example for this cladophylls will be, right, see, in this ruscus and asparagus. Ruscus and asparagus are the example for this one. That is about a cladophylls, right? The next one is bulbils. Bulbs, not bulbs. These are bulbils. So example for bulbils are Dioscorea and agave. See, what is bulbil? Bulbil is either axillary bud or floral bud which store food materials. Those axillary buds or floral buds which store food materials are called bulbils. So these are bulbils. So these are the aerial stem modifications. The first one is stem tendril, thorns, phylloclades, cladophylls and bulbils with respect to